What's up, guys and girls? Check out some new videos I've just uploaded to YouTube. Search for Act Like a DJ and you'll see some of the live videos of the interviews that I've been doing with the latest guest. Klingand is on there, as well as today's guest, Oliver Dollar. Be sure to check them out. Head over to Instagram/LPR Music, where you can stay up to date with everything that's going on with me, and Instagram/Act Like a DJ to see all the latest and greatest news regarding the podcast. It is also on Facebook and Twitter as well, but Instagram is by far the most popular platform. Today's guest is Oliver Dollar. He is most famous for records, amongst others, including Doin Ya Thang and Pushing On with Jimmy Jules. Pushing On being the record that catapulted him into the mainstream, which is probably the reason why you're tuning in today, unless you are the diehard fans. And he talks in detail about how he almost quit the industry at the same time, or around the time that Doin Ya Thang came about. And the track in the background is Oliver Dollar and Crazy P with Loose Beat. That's out on Eureka Records. And hope you enjoyed the episode.
Hi, this is Marco Liz.
Hey, we are Denzel Park.
Hi, this is Mark Knight from Torn Records, and you're checking out Act Like a DJ with LPR.
Hey guys, this is Stonebridge, and you're listening to Act Like a DJ with my boy LPR.
Well, I haven't got the app, so we'll make do with this. But
all right,
we're in beautiful Bali, in one of the nicest locations that I've ever done this podcast in. Well done. This is a good recommendation.
Here we go. That restaurant is insane.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, just look around. This is Bali in a nutshell, mate.
That is true.
I don't need a glass. It's okay. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Mr. Oliver Dollar, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you.
We've been hanging out now for probably just over an hour. We've done one failed sound check at the moment, and we've got another one to come after this. And you're in Bali for a total of 3 days, something like that. Is that right?
That is absolutely right.
And where have you been before? Where are you going to next? What's the purpose of your visit?
I'm just leaving tomorrow morning at 9:20.
Early one.
Early flight. And then I'm going to Berlin, back to Berlin for 3 days. And then there's another America run going on. I'm doing New York, Miami, San Francisco, and something else.
You do a lot of America runs at the moment, don't you?
Yeah, in the moment it's quite crazy because there's so much going on in the States, and why not?
Do you find it's good at this point of your life for your creativity? Do you get a lot done when you go over, like writers' camps and just in the studio yourself and working with various artists and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I love to work with different artists, like all over the place, and especially in the moment in Detroit, like there's so much great artists out there, like singers, like bass players, like drummers. It's quite insane, but I also love to work in Bali.
Well, we are where we are.
That's where we are.
That's the beer kicking in that way.
I also love to work in Los Angeles with my homies over there, and I love to be creative, like on the.
Do you have a favorite place in America? Favorite part that you kind of like to call home?
Yeah, I don't know. I would probably say in the moment it's Detroit. I guess. Yeah.
What is it about Detroit? Is it just not the weather? Is it?
No, weather-wise, it's like not that great like Bali, but it's just a fantastic like creative vibe over there. Like sometimes when you drive through the city, it's like you know why people are making depressing techno, but it's really similar like Berlin. You know, it has this kind of like vibe to it. Like I can't really explain it, but like it's amazing. Like it really makes me creative. And it's just a great place for music. I mean, Motown and like all that kind of stuff, you know.
So you're from one of the best places to be for music in Berlin, and you also travel a lot to one of the other great places for music. I mean, you're not doing too bad, are you, at the moment?
No, I mean, I can't complain, man. To be honest, like to have the chance to record over there, like going in the studio, like with P-Funk legends and super creative people, that's a dream come true.
Well, I mean, to be honest, if if I had the choice of spending a couple of days in Bali and going to America after here and going to wherever it is after there, I'd bite your hand off. I'd be all over it. So you're doing something right, definitely.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying hard, but like the flight over here, man, is long.
We were talking about flights before. I'm useless
Right.
on flights. As you know, absolutely useless. Do you get much done on them? What do you find that if you've got like a really long flight that you get some of your creative juices flowing and get some work finished, or do you spend most of your time watching movies and relaxing and taking your mind off what you're about to go and do? For example, a 5-day tour or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, in general, it's like I'm trying to sleep on the plane, just like to kill the time. But I'm pretty good at doing edits like on the plane, but I'm not crazy creative. Like, it's like I just need like my outboard gear around me. Like,
are you okay working on laptops? Like easy enough for you, or do you prefer all the time to be in studios?
I work all the time on a laptop, even in my studio. So that's my choice.
Second
like,
nature
to
to you
produce.
then.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad then, is it? 'Cause you can.
Could be way worse.
Could be way worse. You're not wrong there. So, if we can just rewind a little bit from when you grew up, obviously you grew up in Berlin. Was you always involved in music, or did that just kind of come, as you grew older, or how did the process start for you? How did you get into the industry?
I kind of got really quickly into music when I in a young age, and my cousin was doing music back then, and he gave me my first record, his first record when I was 11. So, and that turned me into crazy, like a vinyl addict since today.
Oh, so you were DJing first then, like most of us were DJing
I
first.
just started to collect records, and then I started to DJ, and I would probably say 8 years later, I got into music productions in the late 90s.
How old would you have been at that time once you started making the transition into production? Can you remember?
That's a good question.
I'm not saying that you're like,
must been end 90s.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, did you have any sort of a DJ career first, or did it only ever take off when you started to make records and go from there?
It was more like DJing around like in youth clubs and like own organized
paying your dues.
Yeah, own organized parties. And then I moved to Berlin, and then it all kind of started with like getting like into production, like buying the first samplers and buying my first synthesizer and like all that kind of stuff.
Do you remember the first record that you made, which could have been 2, 3, 4 years down the line, that you actually thought, hang on, there's something here. This is kind of what I really want to do? Or was you making kind of drum and bass edits and R&B and hip hop, and then, or how did it work for you?
No, it was by that time, like when I got into production, I've kind of had everything like already, like from drum and bass to gabba to trance to all that kind of stuff. So it really was clear for me. I'm ending up with house and techno music, not like crazy hard techno, like groovy techno. Like the good stuff, like the old school Detroit stuff.
Do you still remember your first ever record that was clean and polished, and you thought, okay, this is what I want to do with my life?
That's a really good question. I can't even remember, man. Like, it's such a long time ago.
What was the first point in your career then when you? I mean, again, it's quite an open-ended question, but when you kind of thought that things are starting to take off and you're having some success with your records, does this kind of tie in with Jesse Rose? I interviewed Jesse last year for the podcast, and he told us a story about how did you work for Jesse at one point?
Yeah. I mean, basically, what he did is like he signed one of my second record I ever did. He signed to Made to Play. And he just put it into magazines like as the Jesse Rose tip, and and then we became friends. We produced music, and I ghost produced basically loads of his stuff.
Seems to be a recurring theme. A lot of the people who I talk to, they seem to have like earned a couple of couple of dollars on the side just to excuse the pun for your name there, by the way. But earned a few extra dollars just by doing some ghost production work for other people, or for for artists or bands that were coming into town, and just making a living and getting better in their own production skills by just consistently putting out records, whether it's for them or whether it's for somebody else.
No, but that's absolutely right. I produced like a few people. I don't want to name anyone right now, but it definitely shaped my production skills and my career in general. And at some point, when I was like trying to give up, like I ended up with my first #1 on Beatport, like for 12 weeks or 8 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
That was Doin Ya Thang.
My wheels were spinning there. I was thinking that you might have had a ghost production hit that was #1. Has that ever happened?
Kinda.
Oh, kind of.
Right.
I
don't want to talk about it.
We don't have to go into names. You don't have to go into genres. But I get what you're saying. It's the unwritten rule, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It is what it is. But that's we can move swiftly on. It's not a problem.
Yeah, let's say under my name that was Doin Ya Thang was the first massive one.
We were talking about your name actually before, and the struggle that you had initially when you set it up, because you had the $sign as part of your name,
right,
rather than the name Dollar. So therefore, it made it virtually impossible to be able to search for you on the internet. Is that right?
Yes. The problem with that was I just decided that in the 90s, in the mid 90s, when I started to DJ out, and that was like beyond like Instagram, beyond Facebook, beyond MySpace, and like all that kind of like social media. I mean, we all remember that, right?
Yeah.
Like taking it way back. But yeah, we all made some good connections on MySpace.
Tom was my one. He never went anywhere. Tom was the first friend in the corner that you couldn't delete. Remember the guy? It was just the guy with the weird face. Anyway, that's what I took away from MySpace. It had its purpose, just like everything else had its purpose. But yeah, people couldn't find you because you had the $sign.
I mean, on one of the searching machines, on the commercial ones, like you can't really find like the special signs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did the penny drop and you actually made the decision to change over and do all your branding as Oliver Dollar with the word dollar?
That was about 5 years ago.
Oh, so in terms of then from the 90s, it's pretty recent then, yeah?
Yeah.
So you must have got, that makes it that's actually a little bit more incredible that you've had the success that you've had with people still not being able to find you,
right,
so to speak, because you've had these hit records, and then when people say, "Who's the record by?" Doing your thing, whatever, and they can't find you,
right?
So you're doing something. The proof. I always say the proof is in the music. Doesn't matter what the name is. I mean, so this must be the case.
In the end of the day, the quality of music is the one, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
you'd like to hope so.
Definitely for me. I mean, these days it's a bit different, that whole game, like we talked about before. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, it is what it is, man. We have to deal with that.
For sure, we can go into that a little bit. I mean, like we were mentioning earlier, again, no need to mention names or anything like that, but the scene in Asia, I've found just from working with various venues in terms of their bookings and stuff, they are more than happy to book somebody solely on the amount of followers that they have on any given social media, whether it's Instagram or SoundCloud, not taking into account the music style. If they can actually DJ for, if they're going to be booked for a venue or whatever, and it is solely based on, do they look good? Like, how's the press shot? When
hopefully
we were talking
your
about
hair's looking right.
Yeah, well, I think the fans will be able to give us some indication. But in terms of like social media, it's everything, but it really shouldn't be, should it?
Yeah, no, the school where I come from, like, we actually went famous, like, with your music, and not with, like, how great are you these days on social medias and everything. I don't want to hate on it, but, like, I really think, like, that music plays, like, a second role right now, and it's not, like, the main thing anymore. And I think it's quite harsh.
It's a bit disheartening
to
people who do it the old-fashioned way.
Right.
Compared to people who, let's say, get a lovely headshot and a ghost-produced track, and then they run with it because they have a good team.
But that's how it goes
and deep
these
pockets.
days, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
They have a great
ev-
PR agency around, or
like we
whatever.
said before,
so,
everyone has to pay the bills, you know.
Right.
So whatever they do to get over the line is their business.
Oh yeah,
and,
absolutely,
and
100%.
There's going to be purists, and then there's going to be people like that, and then there's going to be everyone in between, I suppose, as well, isn't it?
100% agreed.
So we kind of know where it all began. We've delved a little bit into, you know, some of the productions that you did to kind of hone your skills. Then came Doin Ya Thang.
Right.
Do you remember the Eureka moment in the studio where you kind of... See, I do this where you're going through sample packs and, you know, whether it's a sample pack or a sample specifically from a song itself.
Yeah.
And you kind of hit a point where you go, oh my God, I've just found something. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. You can spend weeks, months without finding that moment. Did you come across a certain part and you've gone, oh my God, this is what we're going to run with?
To be honest with you, I'm not using loads of like sample packs, because then you sound like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to stand out a bit, just do your own drums. Just sample it into the shittiest sampler you can find to give it a bit more grit. You know, these days everything is 32 bits and like all that kind of business. And, you know, I remember when I started music, everything was like raw and dirty. It was bedroom productions, one sampler, one little mixer, and one delay. That's it, you know. Because like nobody could afford like a 909 or 808 back then, you know. And I think it's really important like that you try to shape your own sound, you know, to make yourself outstanding from the rest of the music genre. I think personally.
So in terms of Doin Ya Thang, when you were making the record, can you remember any of the creative process whereby you knew there was a hit on the way, or was it kind of luck?
No, I didn't have any clue if it was a hit or not. But like I was very angry because I was giving up my career at this point, because at this point I did it for like over 10 years and it didn't really work out. And this was basically my giving up bootleg. So
nice.
That's how it all started.
Okay, so people won't have known that because they will have just assumed that, you know, you're this guy who, in their minds or their eyes even, you've come out of nowhere with this debut hit. You'd been slaving away for it for 10 years.
Oh yeah.
Just working on your craft, and then you finally got to the point where you're going to, you know, give it up or continue, and you've come up with this
it was
masterpiece.
basically a bootleg for me and my mates, and I just gave it to Jesse. Jesse played it out, I think New Year's Eve 2010 in San Francisco, and then Barclay, like Claude Van Stroke, hit me up, and then Heidi hit me up, and yeah, from there on, the rest is history, I guess.
All through just one play from Jesse?
Yeah.
Simple as that. That's how
as simple as that.
It's cool, right?
Yeah, that is amazing.
And was the record that was ended up being released, was that pretty much the same as the bootleg? Did you have to go back into it?
The bootleg had a bit more vocal chops in there. Yeah. And I cleaned it out pretty much.
Stuff that you could get away with in a bootleg, but
exactly.
You kind of have to.
Exactly.
Did you have any problems with the final release, or was it?
We sorted it out with Moody Man, and I still pay him 50% of the record, and no, we cool.
Oh well, as long as you're cool, mate.
Exactly.
So it's worked out pretty well for you then.
Yeah.
So how did you were at the point where it was either going to be leave it or run with it, and you've hit this record. How did your career explode from there? Because it pretty much did, right?
It was crazy, yeah. I mean, yeah, it went from 50% to 150, let's say that. And I mean, that was pretty crazy, because like nobody could smell it's like this much of a hit. And it was fantastic, man. Like out of nowhere.
And you were just literally overnight touring the world?
No, I toured the world before. Like,
yeah,
like I was like touring international before. Like, before that, like probably 4 or 5 years.
Before that record came out. And then did you before this record, did you have a whole team behind you, tour managers, etc.?
Nothing.
Was that the point where you kind of had to take on some extra people because
I just started to look around, like what can a manager do for you? That's the next thing, because like when you're in that young age, you have no clue what a manager is, what to expect from a manager. And
there's a lot of pitfalls, isn't it, as well, from people just getting ripped off and
exactly
stuff like that.
So you've been young, you've been careful, and you have to experience also bad situations with a manager. And but like it was pretty cool, and I slowly started that thing, but like it went really crazy with pushing on when that came up. Then I proper needed like a 100%.
You got to rethink everything because shit's just too crazy.
Yeah, no, because that record it just went even from 150% like on 250%. And I'm
going to ask you the same question with regards to pushing on. Was there a particular studio moment or creative process where you've tweaked something a certain way and the record's just clicked?
Actually, it was really funny. Like when I did it with my mate Jimmy Jules. I told everyone this is going to be a #1 record. And this is pretty crazy because I didn't knew it like with pushing on, with Doin Ya Thang, but with pushing on it was definitely, I could hear something was super, super special.
Do you remember what it was about the record, like that just kept you going? Because sometimes you can throw stuff away, can't you? Even half decent ideas.
Oh, yeah. I got a million ideas in my basement.
And you're going to send them all to me as well, aren't you? After
definitely
this? Not. But do you remember like where you kind of, as I say, you kind of reaching a point where you really want to run with this thing and get it over the line and get it done?
Oh yeah, I mean. When we were sorting out the samples, and like I could hear something magic is happening there, and it's really crazy. I was just running around with my friends and talk to them, and like, I was straight up like, this is a #1 record, if you believe it or not. This is gonna be crazy.
And if they didn't believe it, more fool them, because it got crazy.
It got mental.
It got absolutely mental.
Even more than expected. And got licensed to Sony afterwards. And it is pretty mental if you hear your own record under a Hollywood movie. It's kind of nuts.
See, that's the thing. It's there's having a big record, and then there's that. There's all kinds of commercials where it's getting used, or movies, or whatever it may be, or like the whole commercial aspect of how records can cross over, being in the UK charts or the Billboard charts in America and stuff like that.
Right.
How does that change you? Like, does it?
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy because like the initial thought we had like is making a club record and not like a record for like
the masses.
Yeah, not even that. Like, just like more like we didn't went in the studio like and thought like, oh yeah, we have to make a record like for like a movie or something. It's like, I mean, we still do what we do, and at the end of the day, it's club music, and that's where I still am, and I think it's a great side effect to have like your record under a movie or like. In the gym where you train, you can
it's
hear
everywhere.
that, that's amazing. Don't get me wrong, but
that's a good example of the gym actually, because the record was literally everywhere. Like
it was insane, yeah. Even my mom heard it in her favorite mall. Yeah, that's how crazy it was.
Did you get money for that?
I think I did.
Yeah, there you go. See, this is the thing, because like if we're in a restaurant now and they're playing Pushing On, like there's somehow, somewhere, it's got to eventually trickle down and come back to you, or at least we'd hope so. Anyway, I hope so, mate. I really do.
Right.
But in terms of having 2 hit records, you had a couple in between. But did you feel, or do you ever feel a certain pressure to deliver a record of a certain standard after you did Doin Ya Thang? Obviously, you had a couple in between before Pushing On, but even after Pushing On, have you ever felt? Has it ever hindered you in the studio, or has it ever kind of made your career go a different way because you've had these big records, and there's a lot of pressure that comes with it?
Oh yeah, it's a lot of pressure, and I had it like the first time when I had Doin Ya Thang, but the second time when we had Pushing On, it didn't affect me anymore because, you know, we do what
You'd
we do.
been there and you'd done it.
Yeah, you've done it, and you know, and in the end of the day, you do what you do, and if you produce all the time the same cup of tea, you're not making a hit record anymore, you know. So you have to change constantly, you know, like, and moving sound wise, you know. And what I really like is everyone expected like such a crazy big hit record afterwards, and I just decided just to do like a 4-tracker DJ Tool EP just to piss everyone off.
Don't know whether it worked, but you know.
No, I think it worked pretty well.
I wanted to ask because we talked about this before we went on air, but you mentioned in America you're working with not kind of, you're not doing something in dance music. You are, but you're doing something else as well.
It's dance music. Yeah, I'm just producing this band in the moment.
Is this an exclusive? I mean, if you talked about this before, or is this something just for?
Yeah,
just for
no,
us?
I can talk about like that I'm doing this, but I can't.
That's cool.
Name anyone
I'll
here
take
right now who's
get.
involved. But
I'll take whatever I can get.
Yeah,
mate.
it's going to be pretty crazy. Like,
how long have you been involved in the project?
And we're doing it since half a year now.
Okay.
And
Are we talking album?
Yeah, we're setting up an album.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm digging a little deeper here. We're getting there. Okay, so is that pretty much as you can say right now?
Yes.
Will it? Can I just ask one thing, and it can be a yes or a no? Will it be under your name?
No.
Okay, that's interesting. So people who are listening or watching this, they may or may not ever hear about it because if it's not associated with you, then okay, I see where it's going. But when we find out more, we might be able to connect the dots. So it's certainly
absolutely 100%.
interesting.
I give you a shout.
Okay, yeah, no, I appreciate that. And there's a lot of winking going on here as well.
No, it's not. I don't want to make like a big secret thing out of it, but like I just want to have first everything done, and then we going into promotion and stuff.
I like the sound of it, mate. I really do. If I may, I'd like to ask a little bit about your creative process because, like you mentioned before, you're comfortable on a laptop, on a plane, or in the studio with a lot of outboard equipment. Yeah. You don't like to use sample packs and stuff. Is there certain things that you always like to do when you're in the studio? How does your flow generally tend to work when you get in the studio mode?
It's just usually like just starting with a beat. And then let's see what's coming up,
and just go from there.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm assuming that like no 2 days are going to be the same then in the Oliver Dollar studio.
No. It's like when I do beats, like I have to be super excited, and like if it's not happening after 30 minutes, and I can hear over and over that loop again, I shouldn't work any further on that.
Do you have favorite pieces of equipment or favorite VSTs, synths, etc.? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm. In the moment, it's actually really like the tight setup is my SP1200, my Emo SP1200. It's a sampler from '84, and
can people still find them if they really look for them?
Yeah, you can still find them, but like for an hilarious amount of money. Like,
see, this is pushing on type of money, isn't it? This is what we're talking about.
I actually bought it like quite cheap, let's say that, like a few years back. But like in the moment, it's crazy. Like in the last 3 years, it went like triple the price. Let's say that.
Is that because people knew that you had one?
I don't know. No, I probably no.
It's possible. I'm going to go with that idea. I think that might be the reason.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on a little bit then. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know we've got to go and do another sound check after this. The first one wasn't as successful as we would have liked.
Let's see what's happening right now.
Let's see what's happening there. And then you got the gig at Old Man's Bali tonight.
Right.
But before we get you out of here, I'd just like to know, because I do like to ask everyone, have you had any memorable career moments, whether it be a gig, whether it be a certain time in your life, or whether it be a certain record that you produced, or a label that signed it, or an email that you received, something like that?
Oh yeah, I mean, come on. Obviously, like when I look back now, I had a few crazy moments, but like the most outstanding moment was probably like when I think it was before Doin Ya Thang or shortly afterwards when I had my residency at Panorama Bar Berghain in Berlin. I just did a live set. And I was also co-producing for Jesse in that time, and Yeah, I just played live in 1 hour, and they opened the shutters for 12 times or 13 times in 1 hour. That is the moment I will never forget. Like, that is goosebumps every 6 minutes. Like, it was insane. Like, that is definitely the craziest moment in my career, I would say.
Well, that kind of ties in with something else I wanted to ask. You mentioned it without me even asking before. You prefer to do the smaller gigs, don't you? That seems to be the.
I mean, like smaller rooms is you always have more vibes. You can hear people. It's not like a festival with like 10,000 people where you actually 40 or 50 meters away from the crowd, and like you think like, wow, nobody is like going mental or anything, you know. I really like small places, like, you know, where you can actually people hear scream, like, and having a good time, you know.
You can reach out and touch the people as
exactly,
well, you know. Obviously, if you want to.
I mean, it's like the more intimate gigs are great. I really love them. But sometimes you also have great festivals, you know. It's like,
do you have favorite places to play, like favorite areas of the world, or do you kind of like?
I can't really say like one specific area, but like what really shaped my sound in my career, I would say, is definitely Berlin. And yeah, we used to grow up in dirty basements, and you know, we played on shitty sound systems, like on shitty record players back in the day, you know. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah,
I love all these segues because one answer goes into the next question seamlessly. It's almost as if
flowing.
It's almost as if we've talked about some of this stuff before. You know, the synergy here is remarkable.
But sorting you out, man.
Listen, you just mentioned about equipment failures and stuff like that. Have you ever had any nightmare gig situations, nightmare scenarios where you've turned up to a show and something has gone wrong in the middle of your set, a CDJ not working, a link cable, or a DJM or something like that?
Never, ever. What a question! Of course. I had it many times.
Is there anything that you can remember which is like a kind of a particular nightmare or a particular funny story that goes along?
There was a particular nightmare. It was like one of the big festivals in London. And,
unnamed festival.
And
London, allegedly.
Yeah, it was like 4 linked CDJs, and from 1 minute to the other one, the hub just jumped out, and I was standing there with 1 CDJ, basically. Yeah.
So you went into emergency loop mode in your head and just tried to.
Not really. I just dealt with it like a man. Like, I just delayed out the record.
I was going to say, when you say deal with it like a man, started sweating. First of all.
I mean, in front of 6,000 people, like, you should start to sweat.
Yeah,
but like, it was actually
all
right.
Thinking about it.
I think the stage manager was like more like sweating than me.
Well, he probably got fired after that, to be honest with
you. I mean, that's unheard of stuff, man. Like, you know.
I think it's because of the too much bass in the booth and not enough foam, and it's kind of it's jumped it out or something.
I think it was a cable or something. You know how it is, man.
Yeah,
it's like digital, you know, and like, you know.
Could be a number of things.
Yeah, maybe it was the sub, like whatever. It's like the hub just jumped out, and you were just standing there with 1 CDJ.
And I noticed your DJ setup is as simple as mine. You're just on USB and rock up with your headphones and job done, right?
Oh yeah.
Have you ever experimented with the track there? You know, these other bits of gear?
I don't like these.
I know Reva likes to use his 808 with in the set, doesn't he? He likes to take it with him. He takes it.
Yeah, like a drum machine.
TR8, I should say.
Yeah, it's cool, but like, I don't know about that, to be honest. Like, I think it's great, like, to have something more to be creative with. But for me, it's just like 4 CDJs, a mixer, and let's have fun with it.
And by the way, when he says 4 CDJs, that's so that he doesn't have these problems with the equipment, the cue buttons, the hot cues, and so on.
Exactly. So you always have like 4 CDJs on the rider, and then let's see which CDJ is still working. Exactly. Let's see what's working. Right.
And I'm sure as you've alluded to, you've had a couple of issues in the past. So
but
as
we
long as
always
you've got
know
4 on the rider.
Right.
Have you got any special drink requests on your rider that you're going to get involved in tonight? A couple of bottles of champagne.
A bit of champagne, a bit of vodka, but let's see if I'm even drinking, because I have a super early flight tomorrow.
That's true.
So maybe I should give it out like to the fans who's showing up tonight.
But make sure it gets filmed, because social media is everything. So make sure somebody films it, and then you can lean over and just see see who's interested. You know,
Maybe you should do that tonight.
Oh, there's an offer. There's an offer.
Your girl wouldn't be too happy about that, right?
She wouldn't be too impressed. But where do you, when you leave Bali at 9:20 in the morning, where do you go back? You go back to
Berlin.
Berlin
For 3 days and then America.
Straight into studio mode or touring?
Touring and studio.
Oh, so it's best of both worlds.
But first touring and then studio.
And then you get to relax after the tour, do a bit of studio time,
Right.
and then you will eventually land back in Berlin and kind of chill, or is it just relentless for you at the moment?
No, then it's by that time I'm back. It's like the end of November. So yeah.
Are you already booked for New Year's?
Not really.
Nothing planned for New Year's
No.
at the moment.
Nothing yet.
Any other gigs coming up that you'd like to give a mention out to, that people can come and see you? You know, people will listen to this in America, so you know, if you've got any cities that you're going to be visiting, now is the time to tell the good people.
I mean, I'm doing this new club in Brooklyn. It's called Polygon. I'm doing Halcyon in San Francisco. And I'm doing this Cafe Mambo thing in Miami.
How can they check on your tour dates? Is it all through Facebook that you announce everything, or Instagram? What do you use?
Yeah,
mostly?
I mean, you can find even dates these days on SoundCloud, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I've seen recently, and I mean, the dates are everywhere on my social medias for sure.
So listen, if you want to go and see Oliver Dollar in the States, you can. You don't have to look that hard. Just don't
Yes, you
don't
can.
search for him with a dollar sign. Type the full name in, and you know, you'll get whatever you want. All right. Lastly, before I get
That's
you
what's
out
up.
of here, just if you'd like to just give your social media handles out so that people can go and say hello and say that they've listened to you on the podcast. How do people contact you? What are you most active on?
I'm really active on Instagram, but I can't really deal anymore with like other social medias. But the good thing is, like, from Instagram, you can spread the word to other social media.
It links across,
platforms.
doesn't it? Yeah.
That's really helpful, you know, because like you can't be like on point on everyone
For sure.
on every platform. But like I'm trying my best to be everywhere, but sometimes it's hard.
But listen, when you've had the success in the record industry that you have, then it's pretty difficult to keep on top of everything, isn't it?
Exactly, but I'm still trying like to do my social medias and not having someone doing them for me, you know. So
it's all you. Everything is 100% you.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. It's refreshing. So listen, go and follow Oliver Dollar. Go and send him a message, and he will get back to you because it is actually him. So check him out if you're in Bali tonight. Go and see him at Old Man's. He'll be in the States next week. Check out his SoundCloud, his Instagram, his Facebook, his Twitter, everything else related to Oliver Dollar, and give him a shout. Tell him that you saw him and listen to him on Act Like a DJ podcast. Thanks for doing this, mate.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
I really appreciate it.
I appreciate that.
Thank you,
Cheers. Boom.
Thanks for tuning into the podcast. That was Act Like a DJ with Oliver Dollar. The track in the background is Oliver Dollar and Crazy P with Loose Beat. That's out on Eureka Records. He's given me permission to put that in the show for this episode. So thank you, Oliver. Really appreciate that. And go follow him. Go follow Oliver Dollar on all of his platforms. Go and give him a shout out. Let him know that you heard his interview or you watched this interview. Remember to check out the YouTube channel. Subscribe on all platforms. It really does help. I really do appreciate you guys. And I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.